The violence that characterizes the contemporary minibus taxi industry is not a recent aberration. It is the product of a long historical trajectory rooted in apartheid exclusion under the Motor Carrier Transport Act of 1930. Only a limited number of licenses were issued, and over 90% of the taxi applications by Black or African operators were rejected. The practical effect was to ban Black South Africans from meaningful participation in the formal transport economy. The industry that emerged under these conditions operated outside the formal regulatory framework out of sheer economic necessity and as an act of economic resistance and survival. The seeds of later conflict arising from issues such as contested routes, informal association structures, the absence of law dispute resolution mechanism, and the reliance on private enforcement were planted in this era of systematic exclusion. Paragraph 36. The Welgemoot Commission of 1981 limited its mandate to buses rather than minibus taxis, leaving the minibus operators without institutional support. Its recommendations contributed to the Transport Deregulation Act of 1988, as documented by the Shonga Commission, drawing on research by Londega Princess Ngubane of the University of KwaZulu-Natal. The regulation led to an increase from approximately 3,752 taxis to approximately 39,604 taxis within a period of only 3 years. That nearly 11-fold expansion, in the absence of a coherent regulatory architecture, route planning capacity, or institutional support, created the conditions for intense and immediate competition over the routes and passengers. Paragraph 37. The competitions for routes became fierce and violent almost immediately. The late 1980s and 1990s saw the emergence of what Jackie Dugard of the Center of Study of Violence and Reconciliation characterized as a transition from low-intensity war to mafia war. Taxi violence in South Africa between 1987 and 2000. What began as a low-intensity conflict over economic territory escalated into organized lethal violence involving hired gunmen, association-level mobilization, and the systematic targeting of rival operators. The advent of democracy in 1994 did not eliminate these structural problems. The National Taxi Task Team, established on the 18th March 1995 as a ministerial committee, and the enactment of the Gauteng Minibus Taxi Type Service Act 11 of 1997 were genuine interventions. A memorandum of understanding was concluded between government and industry, and Santaco ultimately emerged as the preeminent national representative body. Yet structural economic conflicts over routes, association members, and territorial dominance were not resolved by the political transition. Route wars, assassinations, and uncounted money collections continued unabated. The structural drivers of violence. Now we are in 39.
Again, if I can just interrupt here, at this point I'm going to essentially ask you paragraph by paragraph to amplify parts of what you're saying there. So maybe if you get to the end of paragraph 40, then I'll just ask a couple of questions just to understand better what you're referring to there. Same with 41 and onwards.
Okay. The Shonga Commission, 39. The Shonga Commission found that the business model of the minibus taxi type service industry contains within the structural preconditions for violence. These drivers have not been documented consistently across multiple inquiries spanning more than 2 decades.
Have been, you said have not been.
Yes, have been documented consistently.
Yes.
Yes, sorry. Number 40, route wars constitute the fundamental economic driver. Control of a route means control of income. Associations operate as a de facto gatekeepers of economic participation. The provincial regulatory entity, which we normally call PRE, requires applicants to produce associations' letters of recommendation. Despite this not being a legal requirement, thereby empowering associations to exclude non-members and control who operate and on which routes.
So if I can come in here, can you tell us practically what that means? And let me give you an example. Assume I decide to give up law and I want to get into the taxi business, and I want to run a taxi on a particular route. Say one from your ancestral home in Kwaggafontein to Tshwane. How do I do that? Who do I speak to? Who will control whether I can do that? What do I need to do?
You firstly write a formal letter to the chairperson of that particular association. In two instances, whether you would like to have a meeting with them or you go straight to the matter. Then, once they allow you to participate in the meeting, you'll be easily asking them what is it that you are here, which is to conduct business with them. Then for the mere fact that you don't have a permit, if they accept you with all their conditions, they will write a letter to the Department of Transport, to this board of which is named PRE, for that this application must be approved. Then after application has been approved, it is then that you will go to purchase a vehicle. Then after purchasing a vehicle, the permit will be attached to that vehicle, then you start operating.
So there's one association that would be operating on that particular route,
Correct.
and that's the association that I would have to go to.
Yes, yeah.
You don't have competing associations on...
No, currently we don't have. It used to be.
And since how long, and is this one association, one route, a principle across the industry now, or is it sort of patchy across the country?
It differs with associations, yeah.
And so I go to the association first.
Yes, you write a letter to the association.
They, if
they
hopefully
accept
give
it,
me
they
an
reply to you.
audience,
Yes.
and I explain what I want to do, why I want to do it.
Sure.
They then assist me to apply to the department to get a permit.
Yes,
And the permit will be for that specific route, which is the route controlled by that association.
correct.
And I have to become a member of the association before they'll before they'll support my application.
Correct.
And membership of the association comes with what rights and obligations?
The joining fee is there, yeah, which forms the backbone, because it has a receipt.
And then are there sort of like monthly association dues that you pay as a member of the association,
Yeah.
or is it just the joining fee?
No, there is that, but it differs with association to association.
And you say in 40 that de facto, the PRE says won't look at your application for a permit unless it comes supported by an association, but that you say is not a legal requirement.
Yes,
So in effect, what's happened now is that the associations have, although it's not a legal requirement, in practice, the associations control your right to operate lawfully on a particular route.
sure.
Thanks.
Sorry, before you move on, this process, this approval process, association and PRE, is it a once-off approval process that entitles you to then introduce further vehicles, or with each vehicle, taxi that you want to introduce, you have to undergo the same process?
No, not at all. It's a once-off payment. Then, as they accept you, you'll be getting some rules and regulations, because it differs from one association to another, in line that some associations, they operate with 10 taxis. You'll be given that latitude.
Okay.
Some others, 1 or 2. There it goes.
Thank you.
Can I then ask you to go to paragraph 41 where you talk about bucket money? And again, I'm going to ask you to possibly expand at the end of it.
The practice known as imali yepakete, i.e. bucket money, involves the daily or the weekly collection of unaccounted funds from drivers by associations executives. The Commission found that associations have become a law unto themselves through this practice, that that money is not properly accounted for and is used as is used at the discretion of executives to fund security companies and payments of fired gunmen. A related practice, imali sugisi, sock money, involves drivers being given a daily target and paying themselves only after that target is met, incentivizing reckless conduct and route encroachment.
So again, just to clarify, you've got three different sets of players here. You've got the association,
Yes.
you've got the owner, who will employ some drivers, and then you have the drivers.
Correct.
Now, the owner will be paying the association an entry fee and will probably be paying monthly fees as well that are formal fees in terms of the association rules.
Yes.
But of course, the owner's not physically present at the taxi rank or at every taxi rank. His drivers are the ones who are in the vehicles at the ranks. Now, as I understand what you're saying, bucket money is when representatives of the association, or at any rate of the association executive members, go to the ranks and say to the drivers, you've got to put money in the bucket. Is that correct?
It's called the bucket money, not just like you've got your literal bucket.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
Sure.
just called like that.
Maybe it started out that way.
Yeah, it's not that, but it's called like that.
Okay,
Yeah.
so they come and say, okay, where's the bucket money? And will they say, is it like a flat rate? Is it a percentage? What are we talking about?
It's just a flat rate.
So they'll go to a driver and say, I want 500 rands for you.
No, it can't be like that.
Sorry?
Yeah, it's a flat rate.
It's a
just
flat rate.
rate, yeah.
And everyone pays the same
Everyone
flat rate.
pays the same.
And that money is just, according to what you say, there is, presumably it's paid in cash.
Yes.
And then it is a sort of slush fund that the executives of the association can use as they want.
Yes.
You talk about some of it being used to hire hitmen.
Yes.
You talk, I mean, is some of it just appropriated by the executives and just kept for their own cash, or are there certain informal rules relating to bucket money?
No, there are no rules to be precise, but this is what is happening. And I must put it on record that, yes, we normally see those kind of actions. Hence, as leadership, we're preaching that this is not the only way to go. We've got very formal ways where we can address these things, because these are the things that are leading towards violence in the industry.
Chairperson, so before my learned friend proceeds any further, we're not objecting, but we just want to place on record the greater portion of these paragraphs that Mr. Sibanyoni speaks to are findings of a commission of inquiry. So it's not it's not Mr. Sibanyoni's personal findings or his personal views. He's recording findings of a commission who heard the evidence of numerous people, even people in camera. So we must be careful to attribute the contents of these paragraphs to Mr. Sibanyoni's own knowledge. I would just like the Commission to reflect on that, and also my learned friend, just to be mindful of the questions posed to Mr. Sibanyoni and his ability to respond to some of these questions, because he certainly would not be able to respond to all of them simply on the basis that these were findings of a commission of inquiry and not his personal assessment or views or findings or position.
I don't think it's as easy as all that, because Mr. Sibanyoni is a player in the industry. So I would imagine he knows some of these facts personally. Where Mr. Sibanyoni, where you are not able to respond to the facts in accordance to what you know personally, you may simply tell us so.
Okay.
And you may say, yes, I'm aware that this is what the Shongwe Commission found, but personally I know nothing about that.
Chairperson,
Yes, yes.
we're satisfied with the
Yes.
position taken by the Commission.
Yes.
And we're happy if we
Yes,
proceed.
yes. He's been a
that way.
player for over 42 years.
We accept that,
And-
Chairperson, and we don't take issue with
and
that.
he's-
We know the role that he played,
Yes.
and we're here to assist the Commission.
No, we
Mr.
understand.
Sibanyoni is here to
Yes.
take the Commission into confidence,
Yes,
to take the
yes.
country into confidence.
Thank you.
And to assist as best as he possibly is able to.
Thank you,
Thank-
thank you,
thank you,
thank you, Mr. Abrams, thank you. Yes, Mr. Shaskalson.
Thanks, Chair. Mr. Sibanyoni, we've talked about bucket money. SOC money, as I understand it, is about the relationship between owners and drivers. That the owners employ a driver, they say your target is so much per day.
Yes.
I expect to get, I don't know, 1,000 rands from you today, every day. If you manage to do more than 1,000 rands, well, then you can keep what you do more than 1,000 rands, but every day you must pay me 1,000 rands.
Yeah.
And the SOC money is what the drivers keep over and above the targeted
Let me
amount.
just add on it and explain it further. It comes in two folds. If you put a target on a driver of 1,000 rand, then on that particular day he comes to you and give you 800 rand. Then there will be a sort of an argument as to where is this other money. Then he will tell you all this type of stories. We didn't make it today. I had a breakdown there by the road. Then you start searching him. As you're searching, you'll find other money inside the socks. Hence the socks money, yes. Because he knows you can even go to an extent of searching the car, but you start with him as he's here. And then when you search him, that money in most instances used to be inside their socks. Thank you.
If a driver does not make his target on any particular day, is that the money he owes the owner for the next day, or
Not
are
really.
they settled for the day?
Yeah,
It
not
doesn't
really,
carry
yes.
over to the next day.
Yeah, sometimes in, sometimes out, but not really.
And does the driver, if the driver makes over and above the target, is
He
that
takes
for the
himself.
driver?
Yeah, that's for the driver.
Then moving to paragraph 42, if you could read that finding of the Shongwe Commission.
Number 42. Incumbent associations executives resist vacating positions even after being voted out because of the financial flows they control. Some executive members hold neither vehicles nor operating licenses, yet occupy leadership through unscrupulous means. When internal conflicts escalate, concerned groups or splinter associations emerge, each generating new route dispute and further violence. Associations deploy squad cars to monitor routes and enforce their decisions, including unlawful money collection. Illegal operators enter routes through intimidation or through corrupt executive complicity. Personal jealousy of members who grew their business fleets, cultural and tribal dynamics insisting on exclusive group control, and political interference during elections have all been documented as an additional driver.
So again here, this is a summary of a finding from the Shongwe Commission. Is there anything you would amplify there? Anything from your own experience that you think would help us?
No, with this one, nothing at all. Yeah.
Can you continue there?
Number 43, these structural drivers operate in combination. They create an environment in which violence is not an aberration, but a forcible and recurring feature of economic competition. They also create an environment in which senior industry leaders, precisely because they occupy positions of influence within associations and representatives bodies, are themselves primary targets of that violence. The Primary Commission of Inquiry, a chronicle of attempted solutions. The Shongwe Commission was not the first inquiry into taxi violence. It was the latest in succession of commissions that correctly identified structural causes, made recommendations, and largely failed to produce lasting change. Number 45, in February 1999, The Nkosi Thomas Commission was established in Gauteng by the then MEC Kabisi Musunkutu, chaired by Advocate Lindi Nkosi H. Thomas. Its final report was never publicly released because naming witnesses would have placed them in mortal danger. The suppression of that report is itself evidence of the depth of the security crisis surrounding any attempt to investigate taxi violence through public processes, a pattern of witness of vulnerability that persisted for decades and that the Shongwe Commission would later address through extensive in-camera hearings. Number 46, in May 2000, a commission was established in KwaZulu-Natal. Its provincial significance is compounded by the fact that KwaZulu-Natal was subsequently identified by the Shongwe Commission as a primary source of hired gunmen deployed into Gauteng taxi conflicts, a finding that speaks to the cross-provincial structures character of the violence. Number 47, in 2005, the Western Cape Commission identified corrupt activities within the Western Cape Operating License Board as a central cause of conflict and recommended a semi-permanent dispute resolution body. That recommendation had still not been implemented when the Shongwe Commission reported in 2021, 15 years later. The Shongwe Commission itself made the same recommendation. The recurrence of the same prescription across commissions separated by more than a decade is itself evidence of a systematic non-implementation. Number 48, at the inception of the Shongwe Commission in November 2019, Justice Shongwe stated that he was not aware of any prior commission into the taxi violence in Gauteng that have produced a final official report. The industry has not suffered from a shortage of diagnosis, it has suffered from a shortage of implementation.
Can I stop you there? Do you have any theories as to why there's been no implementation? Where have the stumbling blocks been?
You specifically in this Shongwe Commission, or all of
across the board, you're saying there is a decade of systematic non-implementation of recommendations. Do you have a sense of why that is the case? If not, you don't, just say no.
Yeah, from my side, all I know in the Gauteng Commission that I was part of, giving evidence at the time as to matters of taxi-related conflict, I personally gave evidence there relating as to what is it that I see happening. But what happened when we are about to come to finality of that, ultimately what we found, it was on the day, it was supposed to be on a Monday, then we found a message that the commission has been disbanded. There's not enough money. So I'm explaining this because I was there personally trying to give guidance or advising the commission at the time. But as for any others, I will never be sure as to what happens to those.
And when you speak to the Gauteng Commission, you're talking about the Nkosi Thomas Commission?
Yes.
But perhaps there's an important aspect that Mr. Sibanyoni may want to touch on, because a particular witness was scheduled to testify that Monday. And then the commission was told there was no money that's available. Hence, the work of the commission has come to its conclusion. And perhaps maybe the commission just needs to seek clarification from Mr. Sibanyoni as to which witness was scheduled to testify on that Monday.
Thank you.
Please respond to that.
Yes, I'm responding to that.
Yes, thank you.
On that particular Monday, unfortunately, Mr. Jotham C. was the one who was supposed to come and testify. So all eyes and our ears were glued to hear his testimony. Because in his affidavit, when he replied, it was said he was no more a taxi owner, he was in business of construction. So we were all eager to understand as to what the commission is going to ask him about that, because he has licenses and all of those things. But unfortunately, a word came from above, the commission has got no money anymore. Then we were frustrated, all of us, after that.
And that affidavit presumably was submitted to the commission?
Was submitted to the commission, yes. Violence followed. Cases remained unresolved years later, and those responsible were likely still employed at the GDRT. The Inkabi phenomenon.
Before we deal with Inkabi, or Izinkabi, what you've described here as Shongwe Commission recommendations, do they still reflect the status quo today? Has that changed?
Not yet.
It hasn't changed
Yeah,
yet.
it hasn't yet changed.
Because, I mean, it seems to me that what's being described is, at the very least, criminal syndicates operating within the taxi industry and infiltrating government, if not law enforcement agencies.
Correct. The Izinkabi phenomenon, the Shongwe Commission's findings, number 56, among the most significant findings of the Shongwe Commission and of direct relevance to any question before this commission employing the term Izinkabi, is the documented phenomenon of hired assassins in taxi-related violence. I address the specific question raised in notice paragraph 2.17 fully in part Q of this statement. I set out here the structural and factual background established by the commission.
Sorry, if I can just clarify, you're talking, when you refer to the commission there, it's the Shongwe Commission.
Yes, yeah. The
Please
commission found that of those killed in taxi-related violence in Gauteng, 100% were shot with high-caliber rifles as well as small firearms. Some of those high-caliber weapons were of the kind issued to state agencies such as the South African National Defence Force and the South African Police Service. Typical assassinations involved the use of firearms by hired gunmen known widely as Izinkabi.
Can I ask again, can you just explain that first sentence? And I appreciate you're reporting a finding of the Shongwe Commission, but do you understand that finding to mean that in every case of taxi violence, a high caliber rifle is used? That no Izinkabi team will go out without an AK-47 or an R4 or some high caliber rifle like that? Is that what is being said in that first sentence?
Yes.
Thank you.
Number 58, Izinkabi are hired specialists in contact killing, brought in specifically for targeted eliminations. They are typically recruited from other provinces. KwaZulu-Natal was prominently identified as a primary source. They are paid large sums of money to take out operators as directed by those hiring them. In some instances, payment takes the form not of money but of being allowed to operate on certain routes, a practice that itself generates further violence. Hiring is done both by individual operators acting alone and by groups. Some of the money used to pay Izinkabi is sourced from the bucket money system. Security companies from KwaZulu-Natal have been hired by associations to instill fear at the ranks and openly display high-caliber firearms without permission. Certain killing...
Sorry, again, can I stop you here? Because it seems to me if this is a feature of the industry, it means that within the industry, people know how to, who to speak to get hold of an Inkabi, or how to contact Izinkabi directly. You can't have a system of this nature without knowledge of the identities or the associates of the Izinkabi freely available. Is that a fair assumption?
No, not at all.
No.
Yeah.
So how does the system work?
It depends from one person to another. Some people, you'll find him being the boss of Izinkabi. Then you'll find Christians within the associations that has got no knowledge of Inkabi. So it differs from one person to another. It's not a common cause in the industry that everyone knows what Inkabi stands for and how to make connections with that. I can employ you today to be...
Your voice has dropped,
Okay.
Mr. Sibanyoni.
I can employ you today to be a member of my associations. Obviously, so you know nothing about Izinkabi. All you are interested is for you just making money. That's it.
But if this, but there must be a substantial part of the industry
Like what?
that, well, I'm asking you, I don't know about the industry you do, but here we have a finding of the Commission.
Yes, yeah.
Essentially saying that there is a systematic practice within at least large parts of this industry that people enforce control through violence and in particular through the use of Izinkabi, which means there must be substantial sections of the industry that are at very least able to access Izinkabi when they need them.
Also, it depends on the leadership at the time. If you've got a leader that is used to fight his battles through Izinkabi, then that particular space within that particular time will be led by Izinkabi through that particular leader, not everyone. So if you've got a leader that has got no clue to deal with the Izinkabis, then your association is at peace at all.
Well, we'll get to specific cases later when you talk to them. Maybe you can illustrate them.
Okay.
And if you can continue for now.
Number 59, certain killings specifically target the hired assassins after the fact to eliminate evidence of who commissioned the killings. This cycle of assassination, counter-assassination, silencing of witnesses, and the hiring of new Izinkabi is a self-perpetuating and an extremely difficult to investigate. Number 60, the Commission also identified 10 specific violence hotspots in Gauteng, Johannesburg Central, Everton, GP, Tsakane, Moroka, Linasia South, Ivory Park, Olivenwood, Posh, Alexander in Hillbrow, with Germiston and Phosphorus additionally mentioned. Number 61.
Maybe if you can amplify here. When I look at these, I don't see areas that I associate with you.
Yes, yeah.
Your associations haven't operated in any of those.
Not at all, yeah, not at all.
If you can continue then.
Number 61. Critically, the term Izinkabi does not carry a single fixed meaning in all contexts within the taxi industry. In its criminal connotation, the connotation in which this commission employs it in notice paragraph 2.17, Izinkabi refers to contract killers. However, within the internal lexicon and established culture of the South African taxi industry, the word Izinkabi is also widely used to refer to guards deployed at taxi rank, individuals who maintain order and security at the rank facilities, protecting drivers, commuters, and rank infrastructure. This dual usage is well understood by those who with experience of the industry. Any engagement with evidence employing the term must be attentive to this distinction. I address this fully in Part Q. Law enforcement failures, the Shongo Commission's findings, number 62. The Shongo Commission findings on law enforcement are among its most significant. They describe a structural pattern directly relevant to this Commission's terms of reference, which concern centrally the infiltration of an undue influence over institutions of the criminal justice system by criminal syndicates. Number 63, Section 13.d of the National Land Transport Act 5 of 2009 prohibits law enforcement officials and their immediate families from holding any direct financial or business interest in the public transport sector. The Commission found that this prohibition is widely violated. The leadership of both the Gauteng NTA and the leadership of Santaco confirmed before the Commission that it is widely known in the industry that some operators are proxies of law enforcement officers.
Can I stop you here? I mean, you're talking about a confirmation to the Shongwe Commission that some operators in the taxi industry are proxies for law enforcement operators. Are you aware of cases of this nature?
Yeah, I'm aware of such cases, not particularly in my association, so to put it.
No, but just more broadly, because certainly the Commission would be interested in knowing which operators are serving as proxies for law enforcement officers. Yeah. Would you be able to assist us in that regard?
No, with that, I'm not 100% sure, because this is it's a known fact somewhere within the tax association that Some are proxies. It's a known fact. But you need to be sure as to which associations and who exactly are those people. Then you'll find it in some of the conflicts. It will be, this matter will always stand up, that we are in this conflict because of this. But for the mere fact that we are not there local on that association, you can't pinpoint as to which officer for sure is a proxy to the taxi industry.